All right, y'all, we're back. And since it's the 30th anniversary of the PlayStation 1 that came out, I figured that we do a reaction to the top 10 PlayStation 1 games of all time. Shouts to IGN for the video. This is a throwback video, but still a good one. Being that it's Thursday, and at the time that you're watching this though, PlayStation has had a long history of having quality games though, man, and games that have changed the trajectory of the whole gaming industry. Not to mention the sequel with the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 1 is just as important, and this had some classic and iconic games. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, notification bell, like, comment some on the video, and let's get to 10K subs, man. Road to 10K subs. You already know what to do. Let's get to it.
It's been 25 years since the launch of the original PlayStation, and while games have evolved by leaps and bounds in the 2.5 decades since, it's impossible to deny the lasting impact Sony's flat gray box had on the industry and pop culture at large.
Yes, it did.
From Bandicoots to battle-hardened super soldiers, the PlayStation is single-handedly responsible for some of the most iconic characters and franchises of all time. And while there are so many to love, we wanted to look back at the very best the console had to offer. These are the greatest PS1 games of all time.
If it isn't Crash Bandicoot.
Naughty Dog's mascot platforming trilogy became synonymous with the original PlayStation immediately
Crash
after its first
Bandicoot,
release, but it's
number
the
10.
second of these three games that has remained in our hearts and minds all these years later. Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back is a great middle ground between the original's platforming and Warp's expansive arsenal techniques and secrets.
I can understand
Crash climbs
that.
his way up a series of chambers full of challenging platforming levels, Naughty Dog's gauntlet of jumping, spinning, and whoa-ing offers some of the franchise's best levels, offering players a true challenge, but in a way that always felt achievable.
It was fun. All right, we go to number 9. Are we okay with Crash Bandicoot being number 10? Can we think of any other PlayStation 1 games that were better than Crash Bandicoot? Is it cool in that number 10 spot? I'm trying to think. I can think of games that I liked better than Crash Bandicoot though, but I would say overall, just playing a game, yeah, number 10 is cool. It's cool. Probably top 20. I'm not sure top 10 yet though, but it'll come to mind though. Let's get back to it.
Vagrant Story is perhaps one of the original PlayStation's most underrated games.
Number 9.
A massive action RPG developed
Vagrant
by a
Story?
powerhouse RPG hit machine held by one of the most underrated directors of the last 25 years. It's a game that in many ways almost shouldn't work. It stacks an almost ludicrous amount of systems on top of a plot dense with political intrigue.
I don't know about this one. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I'm biased. I'm not really big on RPG games. Besides Pokemon, but I'm not really big on RPG games though. But top 10 of all time, I don't know. Y'all let me know. I feel like if Crash Bandicoot had to be number 10, then switch these two, and this had to be in top 10. Put this one at number 10. Easily, Crash Bandicoot is a better game than this. I'm sorry.
Dark magic and at least 2 textbooks worth of ancient history, but it all comes together in a truly exceptional experience. You'll manage special attacks, customize weapons tailored for specific enemy types, build your own armor, solve puzzles, and fight some of the hardest bosses this side of Dark Souls using a quasi-rhythm-based battle system. While it remains one of the most underrated and oft-forgotten entries in Square's PlayStation catalog, that doesn't prevent this hidden gem
Number
from being
9,
one of the
though?
best that the console had to offer.
Number 9? All right, number 8.
The universally acclaimed Tekken 3 remains one of the most respected fighting games ever made.
I love
But it was
Tekken
its
3, man.
astonishing ability to lure in even non-fighting game fans that really helped make Tekken 3 one of the most iconic games on the console. Adding a third axis to the action and allowing players to dodge left and right, circling their opponents,
Tekken
was a
3.
seismic shift for Namco's seminal slugfest. A cocktail of wacky cinematics, eclectic characters, and bruising beatings, the King of Iron Fist tournament is the undisputed champ when it comes to PS1 fighting games, and will always remain up there with the very best fighters in the business. At the very least, it's the reason an entire generation of gamers knows what capoeira is. Cheers, Eddie Gordo.
That I agree. It's at what, number 7? So Tekken 3 at number 7. Depending on what these other games is, because I think Tekken 3 it could be higher. I think it could be higher than number 7. But yeah, because Tekken is definitely one of my favorite fighting games ever. So Tekken 2 and Tekken 3 changed a lot of things when it comes to fighting games though. Like as far as like the mechanics. And it's one of those games that was the barrier to entry to play it or whatever it wasn't too hard to play. Yeah, though, man. And people picked Eddie Gordo and just button mashed, and everybody can have fun on this game. Anybody can pick up this game and play it. Yeah, number 7. I'm not mad at it being number 7 though, but My personal opinion, it could be higher, but I need to see what the other games are on this list, though. Yeah.
What was that?
Though it enjoyed a cracker of a remake in 2018, the power of the original Resident Evil 2 is still untouched. Set in a bizarro police station, an elaborate evolution of the first game's
I can see
house
this.
theme, Resident Evil 2
I
combined
understand.
ornate, weird puzzles with a plethora of nasties that range from the garden variety zombie to more out there monstrosities like a giant moth and a sentient mutated poison ivy. Throw in a hulking, seemingly invulnerable tyrant that relentlessly pursues you and the ability to play from two different perspectives, and you've got an all-time horror classic.
So how do y'all feel about that? Do y'all think that Resident Evil should be number 7? And then Tekken was number 8. Yeah, I can see that. Is Resident Evil more popular than Tekken though today? Yeah, it probably is, yeah. Now I think they're even. I can respect this place. I can respect it. All right, what's number 6?
The original Tomb Raider is, at its heart, a haunting solo adventure, a quiet jaunt through an aggressive world that mixes up real-life beasts like wolves and bears with dinosaurs and cat mummies. While it cemented Lara Croft as a video game icon that would span several more generations, the original Tomb Raider should also be celebrated for its genius with intricate level design and properly awe-inspiring environments. Plus, a shotgun that you can still feel through the ages.
All right. Now this one I disagree. I think you could put Tomb Raider at where Tekken is at, raise Tekken up, and then raise Resident Evil up to number 6, I believe. So Resident Evil at number 6, Tekken 3 at number 7, and Tomb Raider at number 8. Tomb Raider to me is not a better game than Resident Evil. It's not. I'm sorry. Let me know in the comments if y'all think Tomb Raider is a better game than Resident Evil. I don't think it is. All right, so number 5. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I agree with this wholeheartedly because I remember playing Tony Hawk as a kid. Replay value. It's still fun to play today, even a remastered version. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 is probably the best skating game of all time. I remember sitting here playing this for hours, playing with different skaters. Yeah, though, man, I think it set the foundation for a lot of games. It's one of the top selling skating games of all time, too. So yeah. And the reason why that I don't have it playing right now because a lot of that music is copyrighted and it's licensed or whatnot. Because even the music on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 was iconic. So yeah, I agree with this spot. I can live with this spot. I can definitely, but I need to see what's higher though, for sure, with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Taking nothing away from the original pioneering Gran Turismo,
Oh, Gran Turismo!
The godfather of all console racing sims, Gran Turismo 2 was everything the first installment was and much more. An absolute beast of a racing game.
I like this spot. I like this spot for Gran Turismo.
CDs. With almost 650 cars from over 30 manufacturers, the scope of GT2 was unprecedented, dwarfing its otherwise excellent 1999 crosstown rival Need for Speed High Stakes. The PS1 played host to a small but fondly remembered selection of serious racing games back in the late 90s, like the Toka and Colin McRae series, but Gran Turismo 2 was the biggest and broadest of the lot, and it was the only one that came with a scratch and sniff disc.
Gran Turismo was one of those games where you got out of school, and you actually were excited to come and grind and unlock cars. I remember when I played Gran Turismo, the car I always wanted to unlock was the Dodge Viper, which now I think is discontinued now or whatnot. In real life, it is. I'm not sure, but people are still trying to sell Dodge Vipers today. And Dodge Viper was a heavy vehicle. Like I said, though, it was just one of those vehicles that I sought after while playing Gran Turismo. The customized vehicle, it meant something to play this game. And I think Gran Turismo set the foundation for a lot of racing games on the PlayStation. So I agree with this spot. Gran Turismo is definitely a top 10 game of all time on the PlayStation 1. Number 3, where we at?
Releasing an old-looking 2D Castlevania on the PlayStation seemed like a strange move to some in 1997. Even IGN's original review reads it looks like the same old 2D platform action as before. Other classic franchises had already made the jump into the third dimension, and new games like Tomb Raider were showing what the PS1 could do that previous consoles could not. But keeping Symphony of the Night 2D allowed
number
Konami
3.
to refine Castlevania's gameplay
number 3 of all time.
Perfection. And its beautiful pixel art has aged much better than most of its contemporaries. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is about as close to a perfect video game as one can get.
Yeah,
one that's
I can
still
see
being
why it's
copied
at
and
number
iterated
3.
on today by modern developers.
I get it. Number 2, Final Fantasy.
VII is almost
I
solely
knew it. Final
responsible
Fantasy
for putting
7.
JRPGs on the map. No one had ever seen anything quite like it when it launched on the original PlayStation in 1997, and it's second only to Gran Turismo in units sold, for good reason. The dark sci-fi storyline and its incredibly of-the-times character design took a whimsical fantasy
Final
franchise and brought it
Fantasy
to an
absolutely at
international
number
audience in a
2.
way that neither Sony or Square could have possibly
What's number
predicted.
1 though?
It's a timeless classic that spawned an entire universe of spin-offs and one stellar remake that absolutely deserves all of its praise, despite some of its more glaring shortcomings.
Man, Final Fantasy 2 is probably one of the most important games in the RPG series of all time. And it's, again, it spawned so many remakes. It spawned so many. It set the standard for a lot of RPG games. And till this day, if you go to comic book expos or whatnot, you still see people dressing up as Final Fantasy characters. This game is definitely at number 2. Top 3 game of all time. And I'm not even a huge RPG game fan. I know how important this game was to the PlayStation. So yeah, number 2 is a excellent spot for Final Fantasy. So what's number 1? What's number 1? Metal Gear Solid.
The intricate sandbox of the Phantom Pain, and before the twisting plots of the Patriots or diatribes of the complex political realities of war.
He's right.
The third entry in Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear series cardboard box crawled its way into the PS1, and things were never the same.
Yes.
Metal Gear Solid offered a singularly unique blend of stealth action gameplay and coupled it with a wholly bizarre yet utterly delightful cast of characters, and a story that challenged our ideas of traditional video game heroes and pushed the boundaries of cinematic storytelling in video games at the same time. All of these exceptional elements, plus some truly unforgettable breaks in the fourth
absolutely,
wall,
100%.
create a gaming experience that still holds up as one of the best to this day. And
what I love about Metal Gear Solid back then was if you had your memory card or whatever, you can go off about your day and then come back and beat this game. And it took a while to beat this game too or whatever. So you sit around for hours and you actually had interesting missions to do. Gameplay was dope. Combos or whatever. You could sneak up on people. You had actual things to do in video games. That's what a lot of video games today lack. Having things to do in the game that are interesting. And this game, like, let's see, with Snake, I think that's his name, was Snake or whatnot. Metal Gear Solid, easily number 1, the number 1 game in PlayStation 1 history. Easily. My cousin used to play Metal Gear Solid every day. He played that and Gran Turismo. One of those two, he was playing that game every day. From the missions to let's see, the bosses. The bosses were no pushover on this game. To actually putting a plan together to beat certain stages. You couldn't just run up on certain stages or you would get caught and then you have to do the stage over again. Yeah, though, man. Absolutely number 1. I definitely agree that Metal Gear Solid is number 1. It's the best PlayStation 1 game of all time. All right, my thoughts. I agree with most of this list. What I don't agree with is, Tomb Raider being better than Resident Evil and Tekken 3. I don't agree with that. Tomb Raider can go below Tekken 3. Resident Evil 2 can go above Tekken 3. Switch that spot. And then Vagrant Story. I'm biased because I'm not really a huge RPG game fan though. But that being at number 9, and then having Crash Bandicoot at number 10, no. Vagrant Story shouldn't even been top 10. I could think of better games than Vagrant Story. If something has to be in top 10, Vagrant Story wouldn't be on there. Man, let's go this list. Check this out. Look, here's some games I would put over Vagrant Story. I would put Twisted Metal over Vagrant Story. I would put Spider-Man that released in 2000 over Vagrant Story. What other games would I put? I would put Silent Hill definitely over Vagrant Story. I'd put Mega Man Legends 2 over Vagrant Story. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they got that one wrong. Yeah, they got that one wrong. I'm sorry. But other than that, though, I agree with most of the other lists. I'm not mad at the list at all. So yeah, those number one was for sure, was without a shadow of a doubt, Metal Gear Solid, easy. And then Final Fantasy at number 2 made a whole lot of sense, definitely. But those are my thoughts on the top 10 games of all time for PlayStation 1. Y'all let me know what games should have been on this list from the PlayStation 1. Are there better games that you would have swapped out from this top 10 list of all time for PlayStation 1 games? Let me know how you feel in the comments below. But you already know what to do, man. It's Architect Mr. J with another video. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, notification bell, like, comment, share. Until next time, peace.